Before dawn, the building belonged to her. Not legally, not on paper, not in any way that mattered to the people who signed her paycheck, but in the soft minutes before 5:30 a.m., Maya Thompson moved through Westbrook Pediatric Rehabilitation Center like someone who understood its heartbeat. The hum of the vents. The spaced-out beeping of nighttime monitors. The stillness that only someone invisible could enjoy. She pushed her cart from the elevator, feeling the familiar ache in her wrists. "Another day," she murmured. Her voice echoed back at her quiet, steady, the only voice that ever answered. Maya tied her janitor's apron with practiced efficiency. The navy blue fabric was faded at the edges, soft from years of washing. A small badge with her name hung crookedly from her chest. She straightened it out of habit. Not because anyone cared. Because she did. She started her route on Wing C, though it wasn't assigned to her. Others avoided it: the complicated equipment, the sensitive parents, the unpredictable emergencies. But Maya preferred places where emotion lived openly, even if it hurt. Maybe especially if it hurts. She paused at room 214, fingers brushing the doorframe. Lily Ward lay inside, a fragile silhouette under soft light. The girl didn't move. Didn't speak. Some days she didn't even seem present. Maya wasn't allowed to talk to patients without a nurse present, but she greeted her anyway. Ritual mattered. "Morning, sweetheart," she whispered, barely audible. If Lily ever heard, she didn't show it. But Maya lingered a beat longer, as if waiting for something her rational mind kept insisting would never happen. She pulled herself away. Maya's days were built on small kindnesses no one saw. The tragedy was she still offered them despite no proof that kindness had ever been returned to her. Maya continued down the hall, her cart wheels squeaking rhythmically. She mopped in slow arcs, her movements purposeful and controlled. But her thoughts, those wandered. Bills. Her sister's latest voicemail. The empty chair at her kitchen table she still set by habit. She forced the thoughts away. Work helped. Cleaning was simple: you scrub, and something becomes better. Life rarely gave her tasks that clear. A nurse rushed by, nearly clipping her with a clipboard. "Sorry," he muttered without looking. "It's okay," Maya said. He didn't hear. She exhaled softly. She'd spent years learning not to take it personally. People looked through her like glass, transparent, functional, forgettable. But being unseen had advantages. When people didn't notice you, they didn't censor themselves. They didn't pretend. Maya had overheard heartbreaks, confessions, arguments. What others considered intrusive, she considered honesty. Still. Some mornings she wished someone would really see her. Not the uniform. Not the mop. Her. A woman who wanted nothing but to remain invisible and yet desperately wanted to be seen was a contradiction begging to unravel. At 6 a.m., Maya reached the staff lounge. She washed her hands and poured herself lukewarm coffee. "Morning, Maya." Teresa gave her a quick smile and a squeeze on the shoulder. Maya brightened. "You're here early. You know how it is." Teresa lowered her voice. "Wing C's already hectic. Mr. Ward showed up before the nurse's shift did." Maya frowned slightly. "Is he the one with the little girl?" "Yeah. And he's in one of his moods." Maya stirred her coffee. "I'll stay out of the way. Just, be careful. He's grieving, but he hides it under attitude and money." Maya shrugged. "People hurt in different ways. That's why I like you," Teresa said. "You get it." Maya smiled, but it didn't reach her eyes. She didn't get people. She simply recognized every kind of hurt because she had once carried most of them herself. Maya's empathy wasn't a virtue. It was a scar she had learned to hide under hard work and modest smiles. Meanwhile, Across the hospital, Elias Ward walked with the posture of a man who had lost too much to tolerate losing anything else. His designer suit looked out of place in a pediatric wing, but nobody dared comment. He was the kind of rich whose donations funded entire floors. He should have felt powerful. He felt hollow. Lily hadn't eaten again. The nurses told him not to take it personally, but how could he not? He entered her room, took her small hand, and murmured, "I'm right here, baby." His voice was smooth, controlled. The voice of a man who negotiated billion-dollar contracts. But beneath it trembled a plea. "Just look at me. Just once." Lily didn't react. Something twisted painfully in his chest. Outside, a faint sound drifted down the hallway, soft humming. A woman's voice. Warm. Soulful. Lily's fingers twitched. Elias froze. Hey, sweetheart, what is it?" Her eyelids fluttered. He turned sharply toward the doorway, searching for the source of the sound. Maya rounded the corner, pushing her cart, humming a melody from her childhood. She didn't even realize she did it. Music helped her breathe when memories got too heavy. Her eyes were downcast. Her posture is small. She had the look of someone who'd learned not to take up more space than necessary. But to Elias, who had been starved for any sign of his daughter's awareness, she seemed like a crack of light in a locked room. He stepped forward. "Excuse me." Maya startled, almost dropping her mop. People rarely spoke to her that sharply unless she'd made a mistake. She looked up. And for the first time, Elias saw not a uniform, not a job title, but a woman with tired eyes, a quiet strength, and a softness he suddenly understood his daughter had responded to. And Maya, meeting his intense gaze, felt something she hadn't felt in a long time. A sense that someone saw her not for what she did, but for who she was. She didn't trust it. She didn't understand it. But she felt it. Final character-driven hook. A man who had everything except human connection. A woman who had nothing except the ability to give it. Neither knew the other's story, yet both felt the shift. Their lives had already begun to bend toward each other. Neither could stop it now. Maya feeds the disabled girl, while the billionaire father watches an event that changes everything. The morning rush had started. Nurses zigzagged through the halls. Machines chimed with restless urgency. Parents hovered in doorways with fear tucked under their arms like folded blankets. The quiet calm of dawn had vanished, and Maya moved through the storm with practiced fluidity. She kept her eyes lowered, cart steady, body angled to avoid being in anyone's way. She'd learned years ago that the best way to survive chaos was to not contribute to it. But even as she worked, she felt unsettled. It was the man from earlier. Most wealthy parents walked around the hospital like they owned the place. But this Elias Ward looked at her differently. Not with disdain. Not with curiosity. More like, he recognized something. A familiar heartbreak in a stranger's eyes. She tried to shake the feeling and turned toward the supply closet. As she replaced empty bottles of sanitizer, she hummed again, soft, instinctive, from a place in her chest she never let anyone touch. Behind her, unnoticed, a small figure peeked around the corner. Lily. Not walking, not fully awake, the girl was in a specialized wheelchair, pushed by a nurse who was distracted by a ringing phone. The nurse stepped away to take the call. Lily's gaze, weak, unsteady, locked onto Maya's voice like a compass finding north. Her small hand twitched. Maya didn't see her. Not yet. Elias paced, trying to steady his breathing. He hated pacing. It reminded him of nights he'd spent waiting for surgeons to emerge from operating rooms with eyes that held too much pity. But today, the worry was different. His daughter was reacting to something. Someone. That woman. The janitor who hummed like she remembered lullabies from a better world. He'd meant to approach her, but she disappeared around the corner before he could form words. And now Lily refused breakfast again, turning her face away from the pureed mixture like it offended her. "I know it's awful," Elias whispered, his voice cracking. "But you need to eat." No response. He tried again. No luck. He ran both hands through his hair, a rare moment of unguarded frustration. "What am I doing wrong, baby?" The nurse came in, pushing Lily's chair back inside. Morning outing didn't go well. She seemed agitated. Agitated how? Elias asked sharply. She was reaching out. No idea what for. Reaching out. For who? Maya rolled her cart toward room 214, unaware she was being summoned by a force she didn't understand. As she neared the door, she paused. The air felt charged, like the split second before lightning strikes. Inside the room, she could hear quiet frustration, shifting movement, and a man's tired voice. Her instincts tugged at her. She shouldn't go in. She wasn't supposed to go in. But she knocked lightly anyway. A beat. Then. "Come in." Elias's voice was tight, controlled. Maya stepped into the doorway. He turned and froze. She froze too. The room felt too small for both of them. His presence radiated a sharp, exhausted intensity. Hers offered something softer, humility edged with fear of being in the wrong place. "I'm sorry," Maya said quickly, gripping her mop handle. "I didn't mean to interrupt. I was just—" "No," Elias cut in. "It's fine. She might want you here." Maya blinked. He couldn't be serious. "Me?" "Yes." His voice wavered. "You." Lily's brown eyes fluttered open. They landed on Maya. And for the first time they stayed there. Maya felt something in her chest splinter. She took a tentative step closer, kneeling beside the bed. Her hands shook slightly. "Hi, sweetheart," she whispered. Lily's fingers twitched again. Recognition. Recognition of a voice. A feeling. Something Maya hadn't meant to give but couldn't take back. Maya noticed a small bowl of untouched food on the bedside table. She glanced at Elias. "Is she refusing?" He nodded, shame tightening his jaw. "She won't take anything from me today." Maya looked at the bowl again, then at the girl. She didn't think so. Her body moved the way it did with every child she'd ever cared for. Instinctively. Gently. With love she didn't talk about. "May I?" she asked softly. Elias swallowed hard. "Please." Maya sat on the edge of the bed, scooping a small spoonful of blended oats. She hummed instinctively the same tune from earlier, low and warm. Lily's eyes widened. Her breathing steadied. Maya offered the spoon. Lily leaned forward and accepted the bite. Elias's breath hitched. Maya didn't see him. She was focused entirely on Lily reading her cues, letting her set the pace. Another spoonful. Another swallow. A tiny, almost invisible smile. Maya's own smile bloomed slowly, like a flower afraid to open. "There you go," she murmured. "That's it, sweetheart." Lily rested her cheek against Maya's forearm, exhausted but calmer. Elias nearly collapsed. He covered his mouth with both hands, turning away so neither of them saw the emotion shaking through him. His daughter hadn't responded to anyone like this in months. Not nurses. Not doctors. Not even him. But this woman. This quiet, invisible woman. Had reached her. With humming. With gentleness. With something money couldn't manufacture. When the bowl was empty, Lily drifted into soft sleep, her fingers still curled against Maya's arm. Maya didn't move. She didn't want to disturb her. Elias finally faced her. His eyes were red. Not from anger. From something else, something raw. "How did you do that?" he whispered. Maya shook her head. "I didn't do anything. She was just hungry." "No," Elias swallowed. "It wasn't the food." Their eyes locked. And in that fragile moment, Maya felt exposed, not in a frightening way, but in a way that suggested someone was finally seeing the parts of her she'd learned to hide. The tired parts. The gentle parts. The capable parts. It terrified her. She stood quickly. "I should get back to my shift." "Wait." His voice stopped her. She turned, reluctant. He didn't know what he meant to say. Gratitude? Desperation? An apology for every time the world had overlooked her? But all that came out was, "What's your name?" Maya hesitated. People rarely asked. "Maya." He repeated it like a promise. "Maya, thank you." She nodded, unable to hold his gaze, and slipped out the door. Elias watched the space she left behind, feeling something unfamiliar press into him. Hope. Humility. And the ache of realizing he'd misjudged her, misjudged everything. Outside in the hallway, Maya leaned against the wall, heart pounding. She pressed a hand to her chest. This was not how her day was supposed to go. She was supposed to be invisible. But somehow, in the span of minutes, she had changed a child's entire morning and cracked something open in the father. Something dangerous. Something healing. Something she didn't feel ready for. And yet, she couldn't stop replaying the way Lily had looked at her. Or the way Elias had said her name. Expect tension, misinterpretation, fear, and pressure from outside forces. For the rest of the morning, Maya avoided Wing C like it had sprouted flames. She stuck to the far wings where fluorescent lights buzzed too loudly and the scent of bleach hung heavy enough to sting. Places that didn't remind her of a small hand clutching her arm or a man looking at her like she was the first oxygen he'd inhaled in years. She mopped faster than usual, scrubbing at a stain that didn't exist, trying to erase the feeling that had carved itself into her chest. She had gotten too close. She shouldn't have fed the child. She shouldn't have hummed. She shouldn't have let herself be drawn in. Every step she took away from Lily's room felt like self-preservation. Every step felt like running from something she didn't want to name. Because Maya knew how these things went. When you grew up being the one who gave comfort, not received it. When people praised your kindness yet never chose you. You learned to stay in your place. And janitors didn't change the lives of billionaires. They got reprimanded. Or worse, forgotten. Elias Ward sat in the hospital's corner conference room, a place administrators loaned him when he needed to step away. He didn't hear a word of the meeting taking place around him. "Mr. Ward? Are we proceeding with the equipment purchase?" He blinked. "What?" A doctor repeated the question. Elias nodded automatically, though his mind wasn't on funding or research or anything remotely clinical. It was on her. The janitor with the soft humming voice. He'd replayed the scene a dozen times already. Lily eating. Lily relaxing. Lily seeks comfort from a woman she'd never met. Not from him. Not from trained staff. It made sense and didn't, all at once. Elias wasn't used to feeling powerless. And he hated the sting of jealousy that came with remembering how easily Lily responded to Maya's presence. Why her? Why not him? Why not the people he paid top salary to care for his daughter? His pride fought with his gratitude. And then something darker crept in, a thought he didn't want to acknowledge. What if she matters? More than she knows. More than I'm comfortable with. Everyone needed something from him, money, influence, a signature. But Maya, she hadn't asked for anything. Not even thanks. And that terrified him. Because people who wanted nothing could change everything. She sat alone in the staff lounge, clutching a cup of vending machine tea that tasted like disappointment. She stared at the wall, lost in thought. Maybe she'd get transferred. Maybe he'd file a complaint. Maybe she'd lose her job. Her chest tightened. This place wasn't just a paycheck, it was stability. A small, fragile stability she'd built piece by piece since her life imploded years ago. She couldn't risk that. She wouldn't. The door opened. Maya. She jumped. It was Nurse Kimberly, clipboard under her arm. You have a minute? Maya nodded, throat tight. Kimberly closed the door. I heard what happened this morning. Maya braced herself. Am I in trouble? What? No. Kimberly sat down across from her. Actually, Mr. Ward requested you. Maya nearly choked on her tea. Requested, me? Kimberly nodded slowly. He wants you to come by Lily's room later. Something about how calm Lily was around you. Maya's face went pale. Oh no. No, no, no. That's not. I shouldn't have it just happened and. Kimberly raised her hand. Relax. You didn't break protocol. You helped a child. The only issue is, he's intense. Intense how? Imagine grief with a bank account, Kimberly sighed. But Maya, whatever you did, it mattered. Lily hasn't responded like that in months. Maya's heart twisted painfully. That wasn't what scared her. What scared her was how much she wanted to see Lily again. How much she wanted to hear her soft breaths, feel her small fingers curl around her arm, be useful in a way that healed parts of her she thought were long gone. But needing something that didn't belong to her? That was dangerous. She shook her head. Please tell him I'm busy. I can, Kimberly said gently. But you should know if you walk away now, he'll notice. Maya closed her eyes. Of course he would. Later that afternoon, Elias strode down Wing C with determination and barely concealed anxiety. Nurses cleared his path with soft greetings. Orderlies stepped aside. He reached Lily's room and paused. It was quiet. Lily slept, but restlessly turning her head as if searching for the sound that had soothed her earlier. His chest tightened. He didn't want to rely on someone else. He didn't want to hope. He didn't want to expose his vulnerability to a stranger with kind eyes. But he did want to understand. He stepped into the hall and spotted Kimberly. The janitor, he said abruptly. The woman from this morning. Is she around? Kimberly hesitated. Maya's working another wing. Another wing. Avoiding him. The realization hit him harder than it should have. Can you send her here? He asked. Kimberly shifted uncomfortably. She asked for space. Space? Elias frowned. I don't bite. No, but you move fast, Kimberly said carefully. Some people aren't used to being pursued. Elias stiffened. I'm not pursuing her. Mr. Ward, Kimberly said with a tired smile, you chased a janitor down the hallway this morning because your daughter liked her singing. Elias opened his mouth. I closed it. He couldn't argue with facts. Maya rounded the corner with her cart, unaware he stood there. She froze when she saw him. He took a step toward her. She immediately stepped back. Elias paused, surprised, confused, hurt. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to startle you. You didn't. Her voice was too quick. We should talk, he said softly. No, she replied, even softer. We really shouldn't. Why? Maya tightened her grip on her cart. Because this morning shouldn't have happened. Elias blinked. You helped my daughter. And that's exactly why it's a problem, Maya whispered. He didn't understand. How could that be a problem? Because I'm supposed to clean floors, not, she gestured helplessly. Not become important. The word hung between them, devastating in its honesty. Elias really looked at her and saw fear, humility, and a lifetime of being told to stay small. Maya, he said gently, you are important. She shook her head, eyes burning. Please don't say that. Why not? Because I won't know how to stop believing it. Silence. A silence that said too much, too soon. Maya turned away before her voice could betray her and walked down the hall, pushing her cart with trembling hands. Elias didn't follow. He couldn't. Not when every instinct told him that chasing her now would break something delicate they hadn't even begun to understand. Two people trying to avoid each other are suddenly